Hey everybody, my name is Shibby. I'm an esports colorcaster and Celestial ranked player in Marvel Rivals, and it has been 2 weeks since Season 4 has dropped, and I want to give you my recommendations on what Vanguards you should be playing to dominate this season. I'll be looking at both pro play and high elo solo queue to give you the rundown on what the best Vanguards are this season. I don't want to keep you waiting any longer, so let's just get into it. It wouldn't be a Shibby video unless I talked about these two Vanguards and where I think they are in the current Marvel Rivals meta. Obviously, I think Magneto and Emma Frost are two of the best Vanguards in the game still. Despite Emma Frost's nerfs, I still think she is a 1A, 1B situation with Magneto. It really just depends on what compositions you're trying to run and what you're trying to counter. I think Magneto's defensive utility and overall just defensive options are unmatched, right? Bubble is one of the best defensive and offensive abilities in the game, right? You can use it defensively to block ultimates, to completely deny ultimates. You can also use it offensively with your dive heroes to provide them a little bit more extra safety and to be able to get more damage off. It is very, very good in its flexibility. Magneto Ultimate just seems to get better and better in my mind with every single hero releasing. Obviously, I've told you guys about the Magneto Phoenix Ultimate combo that you guys can do. It's very, very strong, and it kind of takes away from all the normal weaknesses that Magneto Ultimate would have. Obviously, that's more dependent on Phoenix being in the game and not being banned out. But even then, Magneto is still one of the best, if not the best, tank to deal with what's been a rising 3 support composition meta at the moment. So he's very good in that aspect. Now, if you want kind of a one-size-fits-all tank that just does really, really good in multiple situations, yeah, then I would pick Emma Frost. She's very good in brawl compositions. She's very good in anti-dive. She's very good in poke. And she's got a really good ultimate that can, combo up with other DPS ultimates. It's not as good as Magneto, but the ability to silence ultimate abilities out, especially into 3 support compositions, is very, very good. And the funny thing is, she's even not bad in dive. We've been seeing at the high level and pro play, people have been running Emma Frost plus Venom dive. Usually that's to counter what they expect is going to be a Venom dive on the enemy team. And obviously Emma Frost, one of the best anti-dive targets in the game and one of the best tanks that deals with dive, right? Whether it's Captain America, Venom, Thor, whatever, right? Angela, you name it. I mean, she is still just the premier anti-dive tank in the game. She also provides a ton of damage. Like I mentioned, the CC lockup is still one of the most disgusting things about her kit. They never changed that. So yeah, I think she is still one of the best tanks in the game. Somebody that I'm willing to put on the same level as Emma and Magneto this season is somebody that got buffed and somebody that I genuinely think you can pick instead of either Emma or Magneto and find very similar success, and that's going to be Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange got a really good buff this season where they reduced the cooldown of his Maelstrom of Madness from 8 seconds to 6 seconds, and honestly, one of the best changes that he's gotten since his DPS uptime is just so disgusting. There were a lot of moments previously when his Maelstrom of Madness was an 8-second cooldown that you would find yourself having 100 charge, but just waiting on your 4 seconds or 5 seconds before you could unleash it again. Now that it's on a 6-second cooldown consistently, I've felt that Doctor Strange has a good ebb and flow and sort of rhythm on how you want to play him, and the skill expression for this hero has fundamentally gone up. You can choose to now primary fire melee to get yourself to that 100 charge for that Maelstrom of Madness and try to do that again in 6 seconds to get another Maelstrom of Madness. The amount of ultimates charge you can build if you are constantly being more aggressive with Maelstrom of Madness is really nice. You still have the option to primary fire into shield, which gives you a more defensive option. And like I said, the rhythm of Doctor Strange just feels a lot better. His kit feels a lot smoother to play now that you're not gated by an 8-second cooldown of Maelstrom of Madness. This is obviously not even talking about one of his best parts of his kit, the ultimate, right? Comboing it up, especially with the DPS that are popular at the moment, like a multi-man Eye of Agamotto followed up by either a Kraken Impact from Winter Soldier or a Hand of Khonshu from Moon Knight, two DPS that we've been seeing a lot more popular this season. I mean, you are guaranteed to win that fight. Like Eye of Agamotto fundamentally is one of the best AoE ultimates in the game, and you can get really creative with it. You can drop down, you can fly into the air, you can stand yourself on a ledge. There's all these different ways you can use it. I mean, the creativity of Doctor Strange is in the eye of the beholder, right? That's not even to talk about the different portal shenanigans you can do where you can TP people off. You can use it the way most people use it, which is just getting to point and doing that last second contest. I mean, the amount of games I've won because Doctor Strange has portaled, or I as Doctor Strange have portaled onto the point and turned the fight around is absolutely crazy. So I love Doctor Strange this season. I think he's very good. He's got a lot more damage. He can threaten DPS and can threaten supports a lot more. And you actually have to respect him when he's walking on your backline. You can't just ignore him anymore. Before we get into the rest of the Vanguard list, I want to shout out everybody that's shown me so much love on my channel and on my past videos. You guys have been amazing. We had a 400 subscriber goal and you guys knocked it out of the park. I love seeing all the comments talking about how helpful this information has been in these videos, praising the quality of these videos. I've had some of you guys DM me talking about how these videos have helped you in your own Marvel Rivals climb, and that's really why I do it. I love being able to share my thoughts on the game and where I think the meta is going to be in these new seasons, and I love that you guys have been using that information and furthering your Marvel Rivals journey. That's really why I do this. It makes my day brighter reading those comments and reading those DMs, so I really appreciate everybody that's been a part of this community. Even the guys that don't subscribe and just watch and leave comments and all that stuff, I really appreciate all that. You guys have been showing me nothing but love, and I really, really appreciate it. New subscriber goal is 500. If you've liked the video up until this point, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. But let's get into the rest of the Vanguard list. Now we get into Venom, and I think Venom now is the best dive tank in the game. It took me a little bit because I used to be a very big Captain America dive, truther. I used to think that like Cap Psylocke, Cap Magic, Cap Black Panther, all that stuff was the best dive tank and dive DPS combo in the game. But realistically, I think Venom dive, when coordinated correctly, especially at the higher levels of play and even pro play I've been seeing, Venom dive coordinated with the Psylocke or whatever dive hero you take your pick, it's absolutely lethal. And I genuinely like to believe that even in solo queue in your ranked games, as long as somebody on your team, maybe it's your duo or maybe it's some random, if they're playing one of Venom or a dive hero and you're playing the other side, if you guys are coordinating and talking, you can absolutely take over a game, just you two, right? Most supports in solo queue, doesn't really matter the level, I would say probably below Celestial, they're not patty caking all the time. They're not even communicating all the time. They're not marking you. So if you're playing Venom Psylocke or you're playing Venom Magic or whatever, you have a very good chance of absolutely destroying their backline before anybody can really react to it. And you are forcing a reaction from the enemy team here. It took me a while to see that Venom is just better than Captain America. But like I said, I've just been watching more pro play and high elo play this season. And it is very clear that Venom is just better. Also, Venom enables better team ups with both Hela and Jeff the Landshark. Funnily enough, Jeff the Landshark is one of the best supports right now in season 4, and he's just like, again, better prioritization on dive, better team ups. Like Captain America team ups are fake, they're not even real. Like the Bucky one is useless. So highly recommend, if you plan on playing a dive tank this season, it is going to be Venom. The other side of that coin, funnily enough, and I don't even inherently think he's like a good tank by himself, but Hulk, because he provides the Gamma team up with Namor, and we've been seeing a lot of Hulk Namor in pro play, in high elo. He's also been one of the most banned tanks, I think, in like really, really upper echelons of play at the moment. Like Hulk is just disgusting, but I don't think it's because Hulk is good individually, because stuff like Emma still exists, right? You still have Venom, who's just a better dive hero. Like if Emma's banned out, obviously Hulk becomes infinitely better and much more playable, but the combination of Hulk Namor is just getting better and better, especially because you have stuff like Angela, Venom, like I mentioned, Venom Psylocke dive or Venom Magic dive or whatever. Namor's value inherently increases because of his anti-dive capabilities. He's also got a really good ability to one-shot some of these triple support compositions that we've been seeing, right? If you can combo damage boost plus Namor ultimate, you can actually kill through, Mantis ultimate, Luna ultimate, Invis, whatever, right? It is actually very good, especially if you can get that damage boost combo going. You can turn fights around. Hulk intrinsically has a lot more value when Emma's banned out. Probably one of the best brawl tanks, if not the best brawl tank in the game, other than Emma Frost. And again, when she's banned out, you've got a lot of utility, especially if you get good at juggling and you understand how to cause disruption with his ultimate. He is a very high skill ceiling hero. I know that's really weird to say, but he has a very high skill ceiling because you really need to understand when you can jump in, when you can jump out. His ultimate, like juggling, if you see what some of these Hulks are doing at the highest levels and at pro play, they are guaranteeing at least minimum 1 support kill with their ultimate because of how well they can juggle. Like they can actually stun lock you sometimes if you're playing a support, if you're playing maybe a tank or something like that. Like they really know what they're doing. Like the juggling mechanics For Hulk, I've just been getting better and better, and I highly recommend if you're going to pick up Hulk, you really should get into the practice range and learn how to juggle, use his ultimate effectively. It's not just a way to stall point. It's not just an extra life bar. You can legitimately turn around games and turn around fights with good Hulk ultimate usage. And obviously, you can negate some ultimates with your bubble. Like, a lot of Hulks are getting better at canceling stuff like Magneto ultimate, Iron Man ultimate, that kind of stuff, Winter Soldier ultimate, right? By using his bubble and denying those resets and denying that initial mark. So yeah, I like Hulk. I just think, again, with Emma's existence in the game, it is kind of tough to play him. Somebody that plays kind of the polar opposite of the two heroes I talked about previously is going to be Groot. Now, I do still think Groot is pretty good, but he's definitely a level below the tanks that I mentioned. I just think Groot hasn't really fallen into meta as much as we would have liked in Season 4. I think just the rise of other heroes as well, kind of in the meta, has kind of pushed him out, right? Winter Soldier is a very big counter. Punisher is still very, very good. We've got a lot of hit scan that are available. I think the one saving grace with Groot in terms of like what DPS he can pair up with, he's very good with Moon Knight, who has been seeing a lot more play with those buffs. And I think the Moon Knight Groot kind of combo that we've always been accustomed to and we've always been able to see is still pretty good, even into 3 supports. But I think Groot is very reliant on the fact that he needs somebody to combo up with his ultimate into those 3 support compositions. Even in 2 support compositions, he needs somebody to combo with him, right? Whether it is going to be a Moon Knight, whether it is going to be a Winter Soldier, hopefully, that can burst through, right? Iron Man, whatever. Groot still provides value inherently with his walls and how he can fundamentally change how the game is kind of played. He makes other tanks still have to worry about getting boxed in and getting walled in, right? Strange being more popular kind of reduces Groot's effectiveness because he can obviously just jump out. Mag and Emma are still fine, I think, into Groot. I like to view Groot as like kind of a pseudo soft counter to Emma, but even then, her diamond form and her shield allow her to live even when getting boxed in. And as long as you have like a somewhat competent team, the walls aren't as much of an issue as they previously were, because people just understand now that, hey, we need to shoot walls. We need to understand, like, hey, as long as we shoot them, Groot loses a lot of his effectiveness. He can still box people in. He's still got a game-changing ultimate, right? Devastating when comboed, but he's not as effective as I would say like maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago. Another hero that plays opposite of Groot, and I talked about earlier, is going to be Captain America. I still think he's good, but again, he's a notch below like Venom, Hulk, and stuff like that. Not as effective as a dive tank anymore, but obviously if Venom's not available, I would still recommend playing Captain America as your dive tank. Provides a ton of value. Again, in 3 support compositions, you can run Captain America and play that against another 3 support composition, and you effectively have a 4th strategist ultimate, right? Because of how his ultimate functions, now it gives you bonus HP and everything like that, you outvalue other 3 support compositions, and we've kind of been seeing this at some of the higher levels of play. I think in pro play, we've been seeing a lot of Captain America, especially when you see 3 support. Now, obviously, the damage is going to be lacking in those kind of compositions, and it's very pick dependent, right? Whoever gets the first kill, whoever steps out of position. But the lack of damage in 3 support compositions actually allows Captain America to kind of just stick in the backline and be an absolute menace and be really, really, really annoying. But again, I would never find myself in a situation like 90% of the time where I'd rather have Captain America over Venom, unless you are specifically picking Captain America for that extra ult value, for that, essentially extra strategist ultimate. You can even run him in those 2-2-2 compositions and kind of play him more, right, with that value of the 3 support and use it to counter potentially another 2-2-2 comp. But yeah, that's kind of where I view Captain America. And again, the burden of execution on Captain America with his animation cancels, with all his different abilities, diving in and diving out. I don't know if it's actually worth it for tank players to pick up something like Captain America when Venom is available and stuff like that. I very much have changed my thought process on Captain America and Venom. I used to be a big Captain America truther in the early seasons, and I used to think he was much better than Venom, but I've kind of seen the light, and I've kind of seen what these Venom players are doing and the combos that you can do. You just have a higher skill ceiling in my mind with Venom and how you can affect the game and take over. Whereas Captain America, given all his abilities and everything like that, he still is like a, I would say, one-dimensional style of hero. Now, Thor is an interesting position because I do think Thor objectively is a better hero than he was in past seasons, but he also suffers from the exact same issues he did in the past seasons, right? Even though he got a little bit of utility on its ultimate, it stuns now, and he's gotten a bunch of micro buffs over the past couple seasons, Emma is still in the game, and Emma is one of the most banned and picked heroes in Marvel Rivals and one of the most banned picked Vanguards in Marvel Rivals. So as long as she exists in the game, it's going to be very tough for Thor to play. Even then, you've got stuff like Hulk Namor. Hulk Namor is very good at shutting down what Thor wants to do, right? Especially if he's playing that more backline-oriented Thor, the dive-oriented Thor, that he gets paired up with Angela. Thor, again, gets shut down, and I just don't think provides enough value as a tank inherently to his team. That's why you're not seeing him in pro play, right? He doesn't really have utility. Like, the stun on his ultimate is nice. The grounding on his bubble is okay if you can actually get it down. But realistically, the lack of any real utility for Thor is a big reason as to why he's not being picked up as much. He, in my mind, I've always categorized them as just a beefy DPS. I have seen some instances where teams in higher elo lobbies have been running like 3 tank with Thor as like technically a DPS, and they've just been brawling it out and absolutely destroying teams. That's where I think he's very good, right? I think you can run him as like a big chunky DPS and find a lot of value in that aspect. But again, Thor really suffers into the Emma matchup. Still think he suffers into a lot of what is popular right now in Season 4, Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, Punisher, Phoenix, all that stuff. Like a lot of the DPS are some of his biggest ops, and he just can't really do too much about it. You have to be like a goated Thor to really make him work in most situations. Now, I probably have this tank rated much higher than most people, and I don't think enough people are giving her credit. Angela is pretty good, right? And Angela has one of the best tools in the game, and it's called displacement. Being a displacement tank specifically is absolutely disgusting, and we've seen how good displacement can be in the right hands. I mean, Wolverine was essentially pick ban for a majority of Marvel Rivals' current lifespan, right? He's only just now started to die down, and even then, he's still banned out, right? A good Wolverine player can take over a game with his kidnaps. In the same way, Angela can do that, right? Angela can kidnap so many different members, and she can opt in to either kidnap you into her team or kidnap you into a 1v1 where she excels. I think a lot of people maybe misunderstood what Angela was. I think a lot of people try to play her as like a dive tank. They try to, dive the backline with her crash down and stuff like that. They quickly realize that she isn't as tanky as maybe a tank should be, and also she just gets shredded and CC'd up if she's diving by herself. So I think it's very important, and I think it's very crucial to understand that Angela, I think, functions best in like Brawl, right? Where she's allowed to displace a tank into her team, and then with that displacement, her and her team gang up on that individual and eliminate them and create a man advantage, right? I think a very good person to watch, funnily enough, is going to be Team Captain, one of the better Wolverine players that we've seen. Angela's right in that guy's wheelhouse. If you watch this person play Angela, you will actually truly understand the power of this hero. Now, granted, I'm not really big into taking stock of like one person making a hero work, right? Same thing with Thor. I know there are a couple individuals out there that really make Thor work, and they're specialists. But I think as the kind of skill ceiling for Angela is reached by other individuals, as the hero is, has more time in the game, because again, it's only 2 weeks, right? Give it another month, right? Give it into season 4.5, where I genuinely think we are going to see Angela much higher in a lot of these tier lists that people are making. We're going to see Angela pry out a lot more. She's going to have a much more defined role in her tank status and where she can be placed and who she can be picked up with and played with and all that kind of stuff. So Angela, as of right now, maybe not that good because I don't think people understand her. But, like I said in my previous video, give her a month, give her a couple more weeks, and we could be talking about a very different hero from now. And we can be seeing a lot of people probably complain about this hero as you get better with the displacement, as you get better with your ball timings, as you get better with understanding how to use her kit and how to combo her ultimate. Her ultimate is one of the best combo ultimates in the game, right? Like, fundamentally, she's just really, really good with like Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, right? She's got a really good ultimate that I think has not been explored in its entirety yet. And when you start comboing with DPS, when you start comboing with something like a Thor potentially, right? You start seeing some electric results here. So give Angela some time, and I think we might be having a very different conversation. Now, this tank, unfortunately, has just fallen out of favor in Season 4. I think Thing is very good in hyper-specific situations, right? He's very good at countering singular dive heroes. He's still kind of meh into flyers. Yeah, he has the ability to like ground them or like knock them out of the sky. But realistically, I think just a lot of people have understood, just shoot Thing, right? He doesn't really have like the best defensive capabilities. His cooldown usage, like even if used aggressively, is not that threatening. Again, very good at countering like singular dive threats, whether it's like a singular Black Panther, a singular Magic. I don't even think he really does that well into any of the tanks. Like Venom, it's all right. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can just E and then just swing out regardless and just walk out of that zone. I do think he has like an okay matchup into double shield, but only if that double shield composition isn't running something like Moon Knight or Winter Soldier or Punisher, anything that can like legitimately shoot you and like gun you down. Yeah, I think Thing is just not that amazing. Okay matchup into Angela, right? If you do match up into Angela, I think he does provide a lot of issues for Angela, but again, it's not consistent, right? Like I find myself when I'm using Thing, when I find people using Thing, you have to be very, very conscious of how you're using your cooldowns. You have to be very, very conscious of like what the enemy team has, and like there are so many things that can ruin a Thing's day, as well as like things like Groot being meta. Obviously Emma still very good into Thing. I would argue Strange with his increased DPS is still pretty fine into him. Yeah, he can't block his fist or anything like that, but the damage that he can return is pretty good now because of that Maelstrom of Madness cooldown reduction. So I don't know. Thing is either really, really good or really, really bad. Like he requires very specific situations to be good in an excel. I'm not saying you can't play Thing and pick Thing and be good. Like, again, I think below Celestial, I think you're completely fine playing Thing. But once you start getting into those higher ranks, and once you start playing against people that just like will swap immediately and just ruin your whole life, yeah, it is really tough to play this hero at times in my mind. Now, Penny is a very interesting hero to categorize. I think everyone should have a little bit of a pocket Penny in the bag, because realistically, Penny is a very, very good defensive hero. Very map specific and very, very niche, but on certain defensive maps, right? Central Park, Clintar, some of the payload maps that we see, she is amazing, right? She's very, very good at locking areas down and making the game fundamentally harder to play on the offensive side. But again, she's got a lot of counters. She's got a lot of ways that she can be dealt with, whether it's flyers, whether it's flank angles, right? Like hyper-specific situations, she's very, very good at, but I just can't recommend her in totality just because of her lack of offensive capabilities, right? I'm not saying you can't make her work. I've seen the Penny Specialist, the one tricks make her work, but you've got to be really, really insane on that hero, right? Like, just disgusting. And I'm sure Penny's really good in a lot of the lower elos because most people aren't thinking about how to position around Nest. Most people are just walking through main, all that stuff. But I highly recommend everybody having like a pocket Penny in the bag, just because on some of those defensive setups, on those maps where she's really, really good, Central Park, like I mentioned, Convergence, if you get your Nest setups correctly, if you understand where to place your mines, yeah, it can be tough. And always having that in your bag is very, very important, because sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just got to switch it up. Sometimes you got to play the Rocket Penny team up and just, lock down a point and make the team suffer. And I think in, again, certain situations, very, very good, but I just fundamentally think she's the worst tank in the game just because of her lack of offensive capabilities. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, as that all helps me out a ton. I try and respond to every single one of the comments in my videos because I generally do appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to leave one, as well as I love interacting with my own community. If you want to see more of my content, I stream over on Twitch about 3 to 4 times a week, starting around 7 p.m. PST. Over there, you'll get unedited versions of my videos, as well as we go over gameplay reviews, patch notes, and you guys can ask questions in the chat, and I respond pretty quickly. If you care more for short form content, I upload daily on both YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Over there, you'll get condensed versions of my videos, as well as stream highlights and my general thoughts on the game. All of that will be in the description box below, as well as a pop-up that will show up on the right side of the screen here telling you where to go and all my handles. I really do appreciate all of you, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.